Hey guys, it's Tamara Bennett from Southern Adornments Decor. I am live today to give you guys a tour of our wood shop. So this is a behind the scenes look at all the cool things that we do in here, how we produce all the wood blanks that we ship to you guys, and how we make a big mess. My husband's like, I've still got the box blade in there that goes on the tractor. I said, honey, we live here. Bush hog, whatever, tools. But yeah, so wood shop is never going to be super clean because it's always going to be covered in sawdust or something, or there's always going to be personal projects going on in here too, because our house is right across the yard. I'll give you a little look through the windows here. So anytime I come back here, I have to walk across the yard here from the house to get here. And hold on, I'm seeing an error on here. I've got to go switch something because I'm supposed to be live also in the Festive Flip group, and I forgot. I got to click a button on the tech side of things for that to work. So y'all drop me a question. Let me know what you want to see inside the wood shop, and we will get started in a moment. Let me get the tech going on here. The guys are out here busy working in the shop and shipping things. Michael's over there. What are you working on, Michael?
Shipping things.
Shipping things. So all of the things that you purchase from us from shopdoorhangers.com get shipped out of this location, which we were just talking about it the other day. It's kind of wild how my entire business is kind of like morphed and developed over the years. For the longest time, my mother and I were hand packing all of these in the kitchen and dining room inside my house. And then we were manually packing all of it out to the car and trying to just get it off into the post office and everything. And now we have this beautiful shipping room where we can ship all the packages on this big desk here in the middle and kind of get everything out the door in a much easier fashion. And we don't have to go to the post office anymore because the UPS and the post office make regular pickups out here almost every single day. And so things have definitely changed over the years. I'm glad I don't have to pack all those boxes and load them and unload them on the back steps of the post office anymore. Okay, I about got this set up. Let me see. Hold on, I got to type and I can't talk and type at the same time. Y'all know this. Okay. Let me make sure I spelled this correctly. PaintersClubhouse.com. Yes. So all this week we have been promoting our membership, the Painters Clubhouse, where you can learn how to paint door hangers with us every month. And so a lot of you have been hearing about that. You might have been seeing posts and pictures about it inside of your Facebook app and all of that. So I want to tell you about that real quick. First of all, it's $47 a month, and we teach you 2 new projects every month. So we're going to keep the creativity going, keep things that are on trend, and kind of teaching you new painting techniques every month. But the greatest part about it is you're going to get access to our community where you can post your photos, get feedback, see what other people are painting, get inspired. You'll see some of our members who are doing craft fairs. You get to see like pictures of how they got their booth set up. Some of them are doing paint parties, so there's behind the scene pictures of that. It's just it's really inspiring place to be. And somebody described it like they said, like, when you walk into the clubhouse, it's like you get a hug because you already know everybody there, and it feels like you're among friends or family. It feels like coming home. So our group is a really special group. It's never any drama in there. It's always very warm and welcoming. Danya says it's worth every single penny. Thank you for saying that, Danya. Hello, Laura and Lori and Michelle. Albert Crabtree says, I remember when you first started building the new shop. We started building this in fall of 2001. It was completed like that next spring, I believe. And we finally moved into here the summer of 2022. And started doing everything. So, all right, I'm going to flip the camera and give you guys more of an official tour. Let me change my settings here. Back camera. There we go. Make sure I can see what we're... Oh, can y'all see that? Yes, I guess you can. I don't know why it's showing up like that for me. Hold on just a second. I got to see if I can take this off. There we go. Oh, that's still showing up funny for me. That's wild because I can see exactly the right thing on my computer. but I can't see. Hold on, let me try changing it one more time. I'm using StreamYard from my cell phone, and I don't normally do this. So, okay. I think it's trying to load or something. So hopefully this will work. So this is our shipping area. Well, there's the bathroom. Nobody wants to say bathroom. But if I stand back here and kind of just show you, we've got a huge garage door on that end that we raise up anytime the UPS or whatever comes, and they pick up all the orders. And we've got a bunch of wood blanks organized over here. All of them are in like little trays. So if I come over here and show you, like we've got all these little wood letters and things organized in trays by size. And then up here, we've got all these little pieces that are done like this. And so we try to keep it as organized as possible. So it's easy to find what we need when we need it. Big ones are down below. These desks, these tabletops, we actually had built by our contractor whenever we had this shop built. I told him, I said, I need like a large workspace right here in the middle. So he built us these, and then he also built this one over here that's on wheels, and it can be rolled around any location, but honestly, it stays right there most of the time. So I'm not sure it does any good to be on wheels. Over there is where we print all of our shipping labels at the computer. We've got our scales and things for weighing packages over here. All of our packing materials up top. We got all our boxes organized over here. We get a lot of our shipping materials from Uline. This little bad boy here, he's a pricey thing, but I got this from somebody who bought it and then decided they were never going to use it again. And the cool thing about it is you can press one of these buttons and it will pop out shipping tape the size that you need for your package. So for example, let me cover up this person's name. This is somebody's package and it's got this pretty packing tape on it. So it comes out wet and it's kind of like when you put wallpaper on something and you can kind of like lay it on there and then close it off. All those packages have it on as well. All right, so let's take you on a tour of the actual wood shop part. This is just the shipping area. Hey, Regina. Lauren says those tables are fantastic. Brandy said, nice forethought. Yes, I was so glad that I asked for that. This is Box Mountain. As you can see right now, we are terrified to throw away any box that we got because we know that in a month or less, we're going to have to start packing up for Southern Adornments Live. That's what some of this is for. We've been packing it up and getting it ready to go and putting it on pallets. And so this is kind of the assembly table. We've got kids who come here after school and work on stuff. And so this is kind of all SA Live stuff that they're working on. And so we hate to throw away any boxes because we know we might need them for packing up. Now, up top, above the shipping area, we've got an entire loft area where everything is organized. So I'll take you guys up there and kind of show you. Over in this little nook and cranny, Michael's got all of his stains and his little stain tools. This is going to show his addiction right here. Look at this. Look at this. I swear, every time he said open both doors, you really need the full effect. Every time he goes to Lowe's or Menards or any place like that, he ends up looking for that table that has like the mist tints, and he ends up buying the mist tinted stuff. Okay, going up to the loft, this really gives you a grand idea of the entire shop from up here. Say what?
Bernie and Bob.
Bernie and Bob. Which one's which?
That's Bernie.
This is Bernie. Bob's sitting over there on the edge of the railing. But up here is where we kind of organize stuff we don't immediately need. Overstock stuff, extra boxes. I think all this stuff over here is SA Live projects. All this over here is like stuff for swag bags and vendor booth and giveaways and all that. Extra boxes. See, we keep them on pallets. Like everything up here, for the most part, except for that, is like on pallets. That way, if we need to easily reorganize any of this, we just take our little pallet jack and move it around. More boxes over here. There's Bob or Bernie. I don't remember which is which. I never can remember. And then Elizabeth says you have a nice cabinet of stain.
It can use a few more.
And here's a look over the balcony area of the loft. That little corner over there is full of my husband's workout equipment. He has a buddy who comes by a couple days a week, and they drag some of that out, and they do a workout in here. That's kind of the station I'm going to go down and show you guys in a moment. They built that entire, like, wood shop cabinet section down there. And it's got all kinds of really cool tools. And then we've got our two larger laser machines on this side. This big thing here in the middle is a big pallet of wood. So a lot of you guys ask me, where do we get our wood? We actually bulk order it by the pallet load, or the whatever you call it. It's like 96 sheets per load. A unit. Okay, Michael keeps correcting me on the right words. And so we pull a sheet from here. We load it on the laser. Those little rollers underneath really help one person to manage the piece of wood a lot easier, because these are actually, it's really loud. These are actually 5 foot by 10 foot sheets, because this is a larger laser. It holds a 5 by 10 sheet. The Thunder laser over there is called the Titan. It only holds a 4 by 8. What's the name of the 5 by 10 laser, Michael? Bertha. Big Bertha.
We'll eventually have names above.
Yeah, he wants to put names up there above the on the things, the wood things that are hanging on the ceiling. What do you call those? Fume extractors?
Fume extractors.
These are fume extractors hanging from the ceiling that the guys built, and they have a bunch of like air filters in them underneath. And so this allows us to filter any smoke that comes up off the table, and that usually happens when we're doing etching. The smoke will come up, and so it kind of cleans the air and then pumps it back out into the shop.
That way you don't pump out all your air conditioning.
Yeah, that way you don't pump all your air conditioning right outside the shop. Let's see. Somebody says, Michael is like me, looking at the clearance to see what's on sale. Wanda says, looks like my cabinet with stains and paints. Hey, Debbie. Mary Beth said, I wish my husband had a shop this organized.
The garage is not this organized.
Well, and this shop wasn't even this organized about a year ago.
No.
When did you guys finally get it shipped, in ship shape?
I think it was for PC Live.
Oh, yeah. We got it done like last spring, just in time for Painters Clubhouse Live, when we had a lot of you guys come and visit the wood shop.
Because right after PC Live, we had our 4th of July together.
Okay. Well, let's tell them more about this this whole area here with all these cabinets. What are you sitting in front of right now that's got the door open here?
Router.
So there's a router. So what do you do with the router?
You run blocks of wood.
I know, but not everybody knows. So show us.
All right. So this right here hasn't been routered yet. The edges, I've got a curve edge on it, and so this has been routered. And so you just use it. There's a pedal on-off switch here that you can just turn it on, and you just turn around and run it through.
So it allows you to round off those 90-degree corners.
Well, it allows you to
and
cut.
Edges.
It allows you to cut.
Cut.
So right now I've got a rounded edge on it, but you could.
So it takes it from looking like this with the like really rough edges to looking like this, and then of course he's doing a little bit of finishing with all his little sanding blocks and things here too.
But that being said, you can put any kind of component in it to you can even cut wood with it.
Oh, it's got a lot of little attachments.
So you can do a whole bunch of different things.
I think some of our members cut their door hangers with a router.
You can do that. Yeah.
Hey, grab that over there and put it below the cabinet, please.
Oh.
That's a project that they're not supposed to see. I was like, well, shoot. Yeah, I got to be careful what I show y'all in here. I'll be giving away some surprises for SA Live. And then over here, down here, Wes built this little box so it catches a lot of the shavings for when you're routering, and you can kind of like clean that out, right?
Yeah, but we haven't finished it yet. When we pipe in the rest of the dust collection system, there'll actually be a pipe that goes in there and will collect the dust and keep airflow to this to kind of keep your router cool.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, with it being a completely enclosed box, your plate and everything else will get pretty hot and you'll burn up the motor.
Judy says, can I just come live in a corner of your shop? I love it. And Felicity says, I love how clean and organized your shop is. Makes things operate more efficiently.
I don't know about clean.
And Felicity also wants to come work in this shop. Okay.
There's still a lot of projects that we got to finish.
Show us some more features of like this whole cabinet system that you got. And they built this from scratch. Actually, right, Wes over there did. He's our in-house like furniture builder, carpenter type guy.
This right here is just different sections that will keep organizers for different screws.
That's where we also have a lot of our little magnets and our little metal discs that go in our attachments.
The magnets are on the other side, but yeah. So the other side has got the exact same thing, where we just keep different things.
Hang on. So there's 2 of these in each section?
Yes.
I didn't know that. I thought it was like the same thing from both sides.
Two of each in each
See, I don't come out here and mess around very often. I don't even know where stuff is most of the time. What's this thing here?
This is the planer, and we had it put here so that...
Speak up. They can't hear you. Need a microphone.
We had it put there so that if we need to, we can easily remove this, and you've got a whole landing spot that you just turn around and run your wood that you're planing down through here.
Okay.
See, this can easily be removed.
So this is a saw stop. This was probably the coolest. I don't say the coolest thing. This is one of their favorite toys that they bought. I say toy, but it really is super helpful. It's got a blade right here in the middle so they can chop down some wood into smaller pieces easily. And it's super safe. Like if it detects your finger at all, it automatically shuts off. So it's not going to cut anybody's finger off. That's a really good thing.
You can actually look up videos where a guy has made an accident, like he was rounding a board off and he went into it and he kicked his hand sideways, and he had a slight little nick. I mean, like something that a Band-Aid could cover. And it automatically stopped and yanked that blade down.
I've seen videos where people will put a hot dog up next to it, and it won't cut the hot dog. It just barely nicks the hot dog.
When we first started, trying to get everything up and running, there's a friend of mine who goes to a lot of auctions, and he's got probably about 3 or 4 table saws. And he's like, "Hey man, you want to buy this one? $50, you know?"
And it was really old.
And I still got it. We use it for dado cuts. But Wes made the comment one day. He's like, "Man, every time I turn this thing on, it sounds like something out of a horror movie."
Yeah, it sounds like it's going to come unbolted from the stand and chop you up.
So I think it was I guess it was Black Friday before last, Thanksgiving. And SawStop was running a really good deal, and so I went ahead and got it.
I'm still having troubles with my camera. I can't see like what I'm showing you guys, so I was flipping it around to see if that fixed it, but it's not.
Are they still seeing stuff?
They're still seeing stuff. Yeah, they're seeing it. I just am having trouble seeing it. Charity Joe says my husband would be in heaven. Elizabeth loves your table saw, and Brenda says if I lived closer, I would work for your business. I love it. Wanda says it's a dream shop.
So then, we turned around, we added on, we built around the SawStop all of this, which we got lucky on the butcher block, because the same people, Liberty Hardwoods out of Kansas City, Missouri, they actually sell this butcher block as well, and it is a lot cheaper than Lowe's, Menards, and Home Depot.
So if you know you're going to have to build something like this, you'd be a lot better off to contact, would you say a lumber yard of some kind, even if it's their local lumber yard, and say, what price can you get me on, I'm going to need 6 butcher blocks or 8 butcher blocks or whatever it is, rather than go to a big box store and just buy them one by one.
And the thing is, and I didn't even think about it because I'd already been in the Lowe's an hour and a half in the back corner trying to piece together because I knew exactly.
Penny pinching and calculating.
Yeah. And while I was back there in Lowe's, I'm on Menard's website on my phone, going back and forth and what I could get and this, that, and the other. I think to get everything that we got here, Lowe's was going to be about Lowe's was going to be $1,000 more expensive. Now Menards was going to be about $600 or $700.
Which they buy, and they're like the third party. So you're cutting out the middleman if you go straight to a lumberyard type place because it's not as big of a markup.
So I called Liberty Hardwood up, and I wish I'd have done it sooner. But I called them up and was like, "Hey, do you sell this, by the way?" And they're like, "Yeah," but we only got one size. We got two different patterns, but we got one size.
Every now and then there's something else that you guys usually buy from Menards or whatever that you find out, oh, I didn't even know they stocked that, and you get it there.
So, but yeah, we haven't organized. We got everything put in.
I don't understand why you don't have door pulls on these drawers. That would doors. That would drive me crazy.
But we haven't actually built any shelves on the inside yet because we wanted to get everything in, and then kind of see if we liked the whatever it was being in that spot. So then build shelves accordingly, or hooks or whatever.
Because your needs might change, and you just might not have it set up exactly the way you want it if you put the shelves in now.
Yeah. And we've still got to add, there's certain tools that we've got to turn around and eventually add to the countertop and stuff. Whenever we go to, because the dust collection system will run across and down. And whenever the dust collection comes, so it
starts over here, right?
Yes.
And it sucks it in here. Sawdust goes down in there. We'll talk about that in a minute.
So eventually we'll pipe off here and it'll come over and it'll have two spots where it drops down. So that it can then turn around and hook into, like your miter saw, or it can hook into your router or your
saw stop or the planer. Yeah.
And when we do that, we'll go ahead and bring electrical down to it.
So for right now, anytime you use any of the tools in this area, you're pretty much having to get a vacuum out.
Yeah.
But this will kind of make that less common. Like you won't have to do that as often.
Exactly. We'll even have on one of the drop down spots, we'll have a floor opening that we can just pull a gate
and sweep the excess into.
And sweep the excess in there. No matter, we want to get it better than it is, but no matter how much you do, you're still going to have dust.
Yeah. It's a wood shop.
Because this is a separate dust collection system that is currently hooked up to the wide belt sander, but eventually this will be piped in over here, and it will be used for the downdraft tape.
So this would be a really good solution for somebody if they can't afford the larger wide belt sander like we have. If you're still manually having to hand sand everything, explain how this works.
So right now it's not completely finished, but we got these pieces right here. We got these pieces on Amazon. And so now we haven't finished the box, but
somebody said I nerd out with this type of stuff. Yeah. You can tell he does too. He loves talking about all this.
You turn around and you just create a box, and then inside your box you'll have a hookup for
kind of dirty down in there.
Yeah. Well, we don't have a vacuum actually going into it.
Right.
Now. But you'll have a vacuum that's hooked up in here, and so then as you are sanding, everything is getting sucked down there to it. And if you have a vacuum that's hooked up, because that's what this is right here. This is an actual vacuum that's hooked up to your pneumatic sander. Then that cuts down on the dust on top of your part, and then cuts down on the dust that goes down into your.
Christina wants to know, what do we do with all the sawdust that's collected? Because these bags, they get pretty full. They're empty right now because they've just cleaned them out. But
yeah, we just emptied them and cleaned them out. We just kind of pretty much dump ours in the dumpster. But now it's different.
You have burned it before too.
I have burned it before too.
But it's really super fine. So it's not like chunky sawdust that you could reuse for certain things.
If it was something other than MDF, some of it you can use in your wood filler. You can add it to your wood filler, and so then when you go to stain something that you use wood filler on, the stain will take to it in the same color as the wood filler, because you've mixed in some really fine oak or really fine maple or whatever you happen to be sanding.
Yeah. Rhonda wants to know, what's the best way to start when making signs? Would you use a scroll saw, jigsaw? I would say that just kind of depends on their your strength, your mobility, but also what you're going to be doing with it. So if you're cutting really fine cuts and you don't have a lot of like perhaps you have mobility problems and you can't stand for very long, a scroll saw is something you could operate while sitting down. The downside to that is that you have to cut your wood down to like a smaller piece to be able to operate it, because the arm to the scroll saw is only a set size, like usually 16 inches or so, I think.
Yeah.
But a jigsaw, you're manually holding that tool. You can pretty much cut, from any angle on a large sheet of wood with that. You just can't get super intricate.
I would tend to steer towards a corded
jigsaw
or a corded say, if you like, in regards to sanding, a corded orbital sander. I've tried out battery sanders, and they're great to not have a wire, but at the same time, that battery's heavy. And so if you're sanding a lot of pieces and stuff like that, your forearms will get pretty tired pretty quick.
I remember I used to like cut maybe like 60 pieces or something. And then by like the 60th or 70th piece, I'm like, oh, like my forearm is killing me. And I didn't realize it's because when I first started, I didn't realize it was because the blade was starting to get dull until I'd go to put a new blade in. And I'm like, oh, it's cutting like butter now.
And it's the same thing with blades versus and um, your sanding pads. Because I would sit there and try to get every bit of use out of.
You don't want to waste them.
You know, you don't.
They're not cheap.
But when the moment you turn around, it's like, all right, this one's done. It's had it. And you turn around, you take it off, you throw it out, and you change to another one. And you start sanding, you're like, oh my goodness, why didn't I change earlier? You know? And,
I'm putting in way too much elbow grease here.
Yeah, you don't want to waste it. So it's like, So.
There was a couple of questions. Let's see. Oh, well, comments. Wanda said, or Elizabeth said, the sawdust makes great use for flower beds, and Kiki suggested you could sell it for composting. Brandy called it Popeye forearms.
Oh, yeah.
Like Popeye the Sailor Man. Wanda said, I totally agree. The bandsaw, you can only have so much room. Also, smaller teeth blade, you can cut out intricate pieces easier. Yeah, so if you're trying to cut out like three-dimensional elements, even letters, if you get good enough at it, you could even cut out letters and things like that for 3D pieces using a scroll saw. Okay, let's flip the camera back around and finish our tour here, Michael. There we go. What else? Show us the wide belt sander. Kind of explain how it works. You don't have to actually power it up, but unless you just want to.
Stuff goes in here. Did you show them those pieces?
Tell them why we bought this.
Did you show them those pieces?
The pieces? No, I didn't. Okay. I haven't been in there yet.
Well, before we got this, the pneumatic sanders, me and Wes would hand sand with a pneumatic sander.
Hours of hand sanding.
Both, which that's around. But it would be, both this side, which has got your flashing on it, and your edge side, which, you got your little bit of brown.
So it's really subtle, but when it comes off the laser, it looks a little like this. And this is just from where the laser kind of flares underneath and reflects off the metal of the honeycomb or the blades or whatever. And then, this looks pretty good. But if you were to paint this white, this slight little bit of soot, I guess, would start to come through the white and it would just look kind of dingy. And so we sand both sides of these. I know you don't have to sand the back. I tell my husband sometimes you don't have to sand the back. And I even tease him that sometimes you shouldn't sand the back because if it's like 3D letters or something, it makes it difficult for somebody to tell which side of the letter they're supposed to paint. But we like to put out a nice product. And so they're very adamant about sanding both sides.
So before we were hand sanding both sides, and 100 door hangers would probably like to sand them down both sides and blow them off. It would take close to all day.
It was not cost efficient.
No, and then we got this, which
this thing was not cheap. It was like hiring another full-time employee for the year.
Yeah, but there are now. I will say in Safety Speed's defense, there are a lot more expensive.
True.
Pieces on the market.
But I remember we talked about, should we hire another person just to take over sanding? And then we saw a TikTok video or somebody was using one of these and we're like, wait a minute, what's that? We didn't even know they made a tool like this.
So then we started researching the difference between wide belt sanders and drum sanders and stuff like that. And we ended up with this and that same 100 door hangers that would take me and Wes all day to sand and blow off, we can get through and
so for somebody,
we can have them sanded in probably like less than 30 minutes.
Yeah, 100 door hangers in 30 minutes, or spending all day hand sanding. So this is kind of how it works. It's got this huge belt that's I don't know how many feet wide that is, probably 3 feet wide ish, and it's just a giant piece of sandpaper, and it's wrapped over this, and it just sits and spins when it's on. And so this little area here moves and rotates like a conveyor belt. So you lay all your pieces here. Are you going to demonstrate it now?
I'm not going to turn the sander on itself.
I was doing a great job explaining it.
No, I bet you I can. No, that's right. It's not as loud.
So that's not too loud, but then when you turn the dust collection system on, it's really loud.
Yeah, I won't turn the dust collection.
But you put your pieces through here, and they just ride through, and they hit that sander, and you adjust the height to this. So you adjust it for the thickness of your material. And when it comes out on this side, all the sawdust is sanded off of it. And then So this is what it looks like after it's all sanded. So it comes out looking kind of like this, covered in sawdust. So really, we have another job that somebody has to do, which is to then take all these and we take them outside, and with an air hose, we just blow all the sawdust off of them. But like, this is ornaments to an ornament kit, and they all have to be blown off. He's determined to show you the little pieces and how they get broken by the wide belt sander sometimes. While he's doing that, I'll give you a closer look at the Titan. This is the first big laser that we bought. We have the small laser. She's over there. We got baby in the corner. That's the Nova 24. She's real small. We still use her probably almost every day. And then we've got the Titan over here. It holds a 4x8 sheet. Thunder doesn't make this laser anymore. This was one they only made a handful of, and then they decided to stick to just doing smaller lasers. And then this one is from a company called Best Cutter. Not Best, B-E-S-T, B-E-S, Best Cutter. And it holds a 5x10 sheet of wood. Hold on, I can flip the camera. All right. What did you want to show them? So sometimes
the other day on the live, I'd mentioned something about we would lose 5 to 10% of these pieces that make up the
ornament kits.
The ornament kits, and the reason is because the wide belt sander is not made for stuff that's that small. So every so often you'll get a piece, but we found ways around it. Every so often you'll get a piece that goes in there, and it will kind of
catches it and just sands and kind of chews that piece up.
Yeah.
So it doesn't happen to like our big door hangers, though. No, it's mainly just these smaller pieces that are like 1/8 inch thick, or really just really small.
It's a matter of the length or the width of the piece that you're sanding.
I gotcha. Let's see. Michelle says, so sanding it takes all the burn marks off from the laser.
Yes.
Yes. And then Lori says, do you have any idea what jigsaw might be lighter in weight? I don't, but I will say, Lori, if you go to like Lowe's website or Home Depot or any of those and you just search up jigsaws, you can look at the specifications or specs and it will tell you the weight of each one. So that would help you determine. Christina says, I love getting this behind the scenes look at your shop. I love stuff like this. Rhonda says, this all makes my brain spin. I'm so in awe of how you've built this beautiful business. It's definitely been one piece at a time, one tool at a time, and just trying to kind of figuring out what would fit our needs next and make us more efficient. Chelsea says, I love your wood blanks. I'm spoiled when I get one. So thank you for making them the best. Let's see. I was making sure I didn't miss any questions. Okay, is there anything else in the shop we can kind of show them? I guess you can talk about the pallet racks. I don't want to go into super detail because that's kind of boring, but let me flip the camera again.
Yeah, I mean, there's not much to talk about. We actually got lucky in there's a company that's local that sells the stuff. Otherwise, I was going to have to drive 150 miles.
Yeah, so if you have to buy pallet racking, see if there's a used dealer in your area. That's where we got these, and that really cleared up a lot of floor space down here in the shop.
Because that whole wall used to be just covered, and so by having that, it made it to where it was organized.
What do we have up there? What kind of materials?
Right now, see, that's the last of the 5x10 on that part. This is our 4x8, 1/8 inch thick material right here.
So that would be like what the ornaments are made out of.
We got a new unit yesterday.
So this is about an entire unit's worth. Is that right?
Yeah, this right here is probably the start. This is what we had left of the old unit. So then right here, minus 1 or 2 sheets is a unit.
Yeah.
And if it's domestic, it's 96 sheets per unit.
Okay.
And that usually right up there, that spot is where the 5x10 goes. Right next to that slot is cardboard.
Sheets of cardboard. Why would you need sheets of cardboard?
Because it's cheaper to go ahead and cut a sheet of cardboard with a laser machine specifically to what you need versus buying it through Uline.
And we use the cardboard to put our small pieces on, and then we heat shrink them, which we can show the heat shrinker in a second. But we heat shrink them, and that's so that it makes it easier for shipping, so pieces don't get broke and all of that.
Yeah, I can grab a piece.
Yeah, we can show that in a second. So funny story about this little structure right here. Wasn't that what our wide belt sander came in, but we've kind of reinforced it? So we used the existing wood that wide belt sander came in, because it came like in a crate kind of thing.
This entire crate.
And then we reinforced it and turned it into our wood storage for all of our little scrap pieces. So I thought that was really smart.
Yeah, because I like to keep scrap pieces. You never know.
Yeah, we don't want to throw any wood away.
Well, there are occasions where Tamara and Wes are both like, all right, Michael, it's getting a little out of
I
hand.
mean, some pieces do just need to go to the trash.
But you never know. So,
okay, then we've got the forklift. That's a must.
yes. And I sit there and search for a used forklift. And I used one, a 2014 used forklift that had been rebuilt because I wanted to get something that I didn't spend like every weekend or every other weekend working on. So I sat there in a 2014 that had been gone through and redone, was every bit that fit my specifications because I wanted pneumatic tires so it could go on gravel.
Because we don't have much concrete outside.
Right. And I wanted to either be propane and diesel or propane. And so this was propane. And I wanted it to be
a propane probably puts out less exhaust, right?
Yeah,
so we can use it with the doors down, and it's not dangerous. Whereas if it was diesel, you might have a little cloud of dust, smoke in here.
You'd probably, for a long period of time, you'd have to have some ventilation.
Yeah.
And I wanted 3-stage so that I could get up if we had a light go out or something like that. I could get up there and work on it.
Yeah, we forgot to mention the fan.
Yeah, what's the name of that fan, Tamara?
Big ASS fan. That's the name of the company.
That is.
But it keeps it cool in here and helps us kind of bring the heat down from up high.
It is worth the money. So I'll tell you about that in a second. But yeah, like a used 14 that fit everything I needed was going to be every bit of $20,000, and I was able to get this just for a couple thousand more. And I told Tamara, I was like, it just doesn't make sense. I said, it stays inside all the time. When we go to retire, we just turn it around. Yeah,
this one should last us forever.
Yeah, and sell it and, get some of the money back.
Quick questions. Judy says, my hubby wants to know how long it takes to cut out patterns on that large laser machine. So on the best cutter.
It depends. It depends on how detailed the patterns are. So there was I think it was a big box of blanks. It might have been Painter's Clubhouse, but it was a weird shape, and it had all the different like a vine growing on it or something.
So it had a lot of detailed etching, is what you're saying.
And so that obviously took a lot. Like one sheet of that took hours.
But cutting like a sheet of wood browns that have no etching, you could do that in like less than an hour.
Yeah.
It's quick.
Yeah, easily. It's quick.
And of course, if you're cutting a lot of tiny things, it's going to take hours and hours.
If you're gonna cut a lot of these, that actually have etching and cut out spots, that's going to take hours.
Right.
If I sit there and cut out squares, like we'll say 5x5 squares, 5-inch by 5-inch squares of cardboard, 4 minutes.
Yeah, super quick cutting cardboard because that's like slicing through butter. Michelle says, what grit sandpaper do you recommend getting burn marks off of door hangers from a laser?
We have found that we like 150 or 180. You can do it with a 120, but you got to be a little bit more careful because you don't want to take off the etching. So 150, 180 gives it, a fairly...
So you could use 120 on the back. You just wouldn't want to use it on the front.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
And that gets it, pretty smooth, and you still have the etchings pretty good and whatnot. So, yeah, I think 150 technically right now is what is the belt, is the grit of the belt that's in the wide belt sector.
Yeah. Let's see. Cassie said the video of you a while back climbing up those pallet racks scared her to death. And then Lauren said, I'm using my laser now, but I need some help cleaning the lens. Okay. Well, I think Lauren's coming to see us here in a couple of days. We can probably give you an in-person little tutorial on how to clean the lens.
And it is something that you've got to do on a regular basis.
Depending on how often you're cutting and how much you're cutting.
Depending on how much you're cutting. If we're cutting sheets of ornaments, whether it's the 4x8 or the 5x10, probably about after every 2 sheets, maybe you might be able to stretch it to the third. You're going to need to clean your lens, and you'll be able to tell because normally when you cut, you lift up your frame, and the pieces just
fall.
They fall.
Yeah, or they fall out easily. Yeah.
But if you've got some pieces where when you flip it over, there's been times where we'll break off a chunk and you can tell that it's dotted, so it's not completely cut all the way through on the backside.
But you can kind of push on it; it'll pop out sometimes.
You can, but sometimes that'll rip your MDF. So there's times where we'll break off enough, and then we'll just run it all through that whole chunk.
Yeah.
Through the wide belt sander, and eventually
it'll pop out.
Yeah.
So Lauren said, I have a cardboard snowman craft I want to do. So I can cut that in the laser?
Yeah.
Yeah, you just dial your power down, right? Yeah. And maybe even increase your speed.
You would increase
You don't want to do it too slow or your cardboard catches fire.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, you can cut, I think we were sitting here one day and I had ordered quite a few of those cardboard cutouts from Uline that was already pre-cut. And I thought about it and I was like, why don't we just cut it on the laser machine?
Yeah.
And when you order a sheet of cardboard, it's a whole lot cheaper than if you order the individual pieces. So,
yeah.
And not to mention it, like I said, it takes 4 minutes.
Yeah.
So.
Judy said, thank you for the staining video you posted. It made it so much easier to do it for my first try.
Well, I love staining. I geek out about staining. So,
he does. He loves staining.
That was probably an easier video to get me to do.
Okay, take us over and show us the heat shrink machine, and then maybe show us something that we have heat shrunk.
Okay. So we had to run into the wiring, and this kind of up here, kind of stuck in this spot.
We bought this last year during Black Friday. Mm-hmm. Why did we buy it? Do you remember? Because the ornaments, we were hand shrinking one by one with a heat gun and heat shrink plastic, and I was like, "This is for the birds."
And there's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of other stuff that used to we would just shrink wrap or whatever heat.
Yeah, we've definitely used this more than we thought we would.
Oh yeah.
Because I thought, well, even if we only use it for the ornaments every year, it will be worth its weight in gold. But we've used it probably every single week.
Well, for the letterings, for the twisting.
Yeah, for the workshop.
Yep, that. So yeah, it's pretty simple. You turn it on, and it's got one where it's going to heat up.
So this is your power, your fan, and your heat.
Yep.
And then this controls your conveyor belts.
But you leave this off. Right now it's at 23 degrees, and that's its goal.
Celsius.
23 Celsius, and its goal is 140.
Okay, so is this Fahrenheit? Or this is what it's trying to get up to?
That's what it's trying to get up to.
Okay, so that's what your heat setting is set at. So then this controls the speed of your belt.
Yep. And usually what we found, you can adjust the heat, but what we found is that you just turn around and control the speed of your conveyor. We just leave it set at 100. We just leave it set at 140. And then we'll speed up or slow down the conveyor as needed.
Yeah.
Then that way you don't have to get in. It'll take probably about 10 minutes or so to heat up, especially as long as you keep these little black flaps down.
Keeps the heat in a little better.
Yeah. Now you do have to work on your speed as far as depending on how fast the conveyor's going, and if it's just you doing it, then you may be able to get 5 or 6 in before you got to run around and catch.
Or you have 2 people here, one catching and one putting them in.
So
okay, go show us something. Well, you want to show out here?
Well, this is where we come to blow stuff off. Again, pardon the mess, but
yeah, this is also where we live, so there's a mess.
Yeah, for when it's hot out, because it can get pretty hot. We got the fans that'll turn around and blow you off, and then you got your different things so 2 people can get out here and work, and then these are just different tools that we might have to do a little bit of sanding or wiping things down.
So after they come out of the wide belt sander, they come out here and they blow all the excess sand off.
Yeah, when we blow them off, we'll go ahead and we try to wipe down the edges as best we can and stuff like that. So this is the final process before it goes to shipping.
Okay.
So.
And there's my little Thunder Nova. We still use it, don't we? Even though it's little bitty.
That was used to cut a lot of the ornaments.
Yeah. These all still need to be blowed off. This is how dusty they look when they come out of that wide belt sander. Questions, comments? You wanted to show them something that's shrink wrapped so they can see what it looks like after it's shrunk.
I will say you also, if anybody who's going to be setting up for a laser machine, make sure that if you're going to use anything other than the like the little small air compressor that the laser machine probably comes with, if you're going to use your own air supply, make sure that you dry out and filter your air as much as possible. Because if not, you run the risk of ruining some of your internal wiring and circuitry. So I did a lot of
So many
research.
things we didn't know before we started all this, right?
Yeah,
it's been learning one thing, one YouTube video at a time, or one mistake at a time to teach us.
I did a lot of research on it and even talked to people who had laser machines. So
that black box.
The black box is a refrigerator dryer. If you see that one black tube, that's a filter.
So it removes all the moisture from the air before it comes through the lines.
Then you got two other filters that it goes through, and then these two filters, and then there's one last filter right here.
And why is this important?
Because if you don't get all of the oil condensation, so you're gonna have condensation because air compressors are loud. That's why the gray tank here is just an excess tank.
It's just a holding one.
Yes, I wanted to have a lot of volume. So the actual air compressor, which is loud, is technically on the other side of this wall.
Okay.
Outside. It kicks on and it fills this up and the line.
So when it kicks on, you don't really have to hear it in here nearly.
Yeah.
I mean, you can hear it, but it's not nearly as loud.
But because it's outside in the elements, not a controlled environment, you're going to have condensation. So that whenever it comes in here, you need to get all moisture. You're also going to have just a little bit of oil that's coming from your air compressor that's going to get in your lines. So you want to get all the oil, all the moisture.
What does that do when all that's in the lines? Does it ruin the lines or the components? Or
it ruins the components of your laser machine.
Oh, so it's to protect the laser machine.
Protects the laser machine.
I gotcha.
That's the only reason I had all those were put in.
I gotcha.
So they wouldn't get to the circuitry and everything of the laser machine and mess it up.
Gotcha. Okay, Dee Dee wants to know who designed this shop. She's never thought about all these technical aspects.
I guess
it's kind of been a group effort.
Yeah.
Me and Michael kind of talked about the size that we wanted, and then
she wanted bigger.
Yeah, it was funny when we got out here and we're talking about building this thing. He stood at one corner of the property and I stood at the other, and we put stakes in the ground and we're like looking at each other. Okay, how many feet is this? And I'm visual, so I'm like, you're too close to me.
What? 60 by 40?
60 by 40.
60 foot long, 40 wide. And then I think I moved the stakes probably 4 or 5 times before we finally got to 60 foot wide and 120 foot long, which that includes the little portion of tractor shed that's out there. And she's like, I don't think it's big enough. And I'm like, oh, wait a second. We've still got a little bit more land. If we outgrow this and we're blessed that much, then we can do something else. But let's just stick with this. And really, they poured the weird thing about it is they poured the concrete, and of course,
and then we're like, oh, it feels small.
Like
just the concrete pad.
Like we'd come out here in the evening, after they had left, we don't want to get in their way. So we'd come out here and like, yeah, they had just the concrete. It's like, man, it does feel small. It wasn't until they actually got the walls on it that it was like, man, this place is huge. And that's kind of weird.
I got to prop my arm up. My arm's getting tired.
But yeah. So.
Yeah, and then when the walls started going up, we were like, wow, we got so much room for activities.
Now on the loft area, I know she already showed you the loft area, but each section.
Hang on, we'll go over there.
Each section of railing can be removed.
So this is a section, this is a section, that's a section. Like each little center post is a different section. Yeah. And if you see those, y'all probably can't see it from here, but there's like little metal brackets on each one. No, that's not necessary. And you can like lift up and take that entire railing off and move it. So like anytime we have to get anything from up there using the forklift, we'll drive it up right here. We'll move that little railing out of the way, pick up whatever we need or set whatever we need up there. Yep. So back to the shipping room. Oh, wait, we didn't even show him. I didn't show him the kitchen. Wesley's probably in here eating. We'll go disturb him.
We're not showing the office.
The office is a mess.
The office is last on the list to get done.
We do have an area in here for the guys to eat, take a break. So this is kind of that. Wes smells like food in here. And then Michael's office is right through there. And then this is probably where most people enter from to come in here.
Yeah, I show them the...
Nah, my freeze dryer's in here too. So yeah, I don't know. Dee Dee, I feel like a lot of it was kind of designed piece by piece based on what we needed. The actual like uh, build and structure of it was done by our contractor, but we kind of told him what we wanted. And then a lot of the other stuff that's in here, like the tools and the cabinetry and all that, that's been all Wes and Michael. They have kind of figured that out as we've gone. But yeah, this is what they look like when they're heat shrunk. Hang on, I got to flip this second. There we go. So you put them in like a little plastic bag, and that's why we need all the cardboard. The cardboard goes on the back of there. Put all of our little pieces on there, and then put it through the heat shrink machine, and it just goes, sucks it right up.
How's it go?
I'm not doing that again. All right, you guys, I'm going to go live in a little while again. I don't know what time. I'm going to do a few things first, and then I'm going to do a big box of blanks reveal to show you what was in the big box of blanks this month. But if you're ready to join Painters Clubhouse now, we would love to have you come and join us. It is $47 a month. You can sign up right now at paintersclubhouse.com. You're going to get access to the tutorials that we release every month, plus an entire library with over 100 different designs for all the seasons that you can go and watch at any time. And every tutorial that we have comes with a template, so you can use those templates to cut your own wood pieces. If you own a laser machine, you can put the file in there. If you don't own a laser machine, if you're using jigsaw, scroll saw, router, anything like that, you can just download the template and print it out and trace it on your project and cut there.
Well, I will say one in regards, because I noticed Dee Dee had asked about designing, and then Lauren was saying she was having an issue in regards to some tools and where to go and this, that, and the other. Pinterest has some pretty good ideas as far as people who have figured out different ways of doing things and this, that, and the other. So that is a place that you can look at and get some ideas on ways of organizing and storing stuff that you never would have thought of.
Right. Brandy said memberships are tax write-offs too. Yeah. So if you own a business and you want to learn how to paint and have that as a tax write-off, your Painters Clubhouse membership would be a tax write-off. All right, y'all. I will see you next time. Thanks for joining us on the Woodshop tour. Bye.